Hello and welcome to this new video on multiplying and dividing fractions. Now, if you watched the other video on adding and subtracting fractions, it was a little bit longer video than I would have liked. Usually I like to try to keep these less than 10 minutes. But that was because adding and subtracting has one additional step, and that is to find a common denominator. And sometimes that complicates things a little bit. People find that a little bit harder to deal with. But when we're multiplying and dividing fractions, we don't have to deal with that. We don't have to deal with a common denominator. And so it's kind of nice that way. Let's go ahead and get started. And let's start with a set of really easy to think about fractions to think about when we're multiplying and dividing. So here we go. Let's try the fractions of 1/2. And we're going to multiply that by 1/3. And again, when we're multiplying fractions, this is probably a review for you, but when we're multiplying fractions, we don't have to get a common denominator. And so all we have to do is just multiply straight across the numerators with the numerators and the denominators with the denominators. And so the answer that we should end up with when we multiply 1 times 1 is, of course, 1 in the numerator of the answer, and 2 times 3 is 6. And so the answer that we should get when we're multiplying 1/2 by 1/3 is, of course, 1/6. Now, when we're dividing fractions, we're going to be thinking of this in a very similar way, except there's another additional step. Let's go ahead and try this, for example. Let's try the same set of fractions here, but this time we're going to divide. And when we divide 1/2 or 1/3 and or 1/2 by 1/3, what is essentially going to happen is we're going to take the reciprocal of this second dividend here. In this case, it's not an addend because now we're not adding. In this case, it's a dividend since we're dividing. And so what we're essentially going to do is we're going to change this problem into a multiplication problem and take the reciprocal of the second dividend. And so the problem that we have here gets changed into a multiplication problem, 1/2 times 3/1. And then we multiply the same way we did for this first example, the numerators with the numerators and the denominators with the denominators. And so 1 times 3, of course, is 3, and the denominator is 2. And so we'd like to simplify this improper fraction into a mixed number, which is 1 and 1/2. Now let's think about multiplying and dividing in terms of like a word problem. I like to think of this in terms of word problems so that it's a little bit more applicable to real life. And so let's think of this in terms of this example that I'm about to bring up here. Give me a second. There we go. So you bake a pan of brownies for a bake sale and you sell 2/5 of the pan. Matt, who loves brownies by the way, buys 2/3 of the remaining pieces for himself. How many pieces did he buy exactly? Write the equation and draw me a picture. So let's go ahead and try to draw a picture. And you're already probably sighing to yourself, Matt's going to try to draw a picture. Uh-oh. Well, here we go. I don't know about you, but my brownie pans are rectangular-ish. They're not circles. And so here's my wavy brownie pan. But we can already tell by the problem that we're going to start with 5 pieces. And we know that because we've sold 2/5 of the pan. And so let's start off with 5 pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and try to see if I can get these as even as possible. Here's 1, 2, 3, and here's 4 lines. And when we do that, we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 pieces in terms of the brownie pan. And it says that we've sold 2/5 of the pan. And so we're not going to shade in 2/5. We're going to go ahead and let's shade in 3/5 of the pan since we've sold 2/5. And so here we go, 1, 2, 3. And so I have, or you know what, maybe I should, brownies aren't green. Silly Matt. Let me try to get a brown color in here. Let's try that. Here's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so now that I have my 3 remaining pieces, since I've sold 2/5 of the pan, or whoever's doing the selling sold 2/5 of the pan, I'm going to buy 2/3 of the remaining pieces for myself. And so out of the remaining out of the remaining 1, 2, 3 pieces, I'm going to take 2 of them. So I'm going to take these 2 pieces out of the remaining 3. Okay, so how many did I buy for myself exactly? Well, the answer should be pretty obvious, right? I bought 2. So if I were to write the answer on a test, for example, I would write Matt bought 2 pieces for himself. Okay? But again, we're trying to think of this in terms of multiplication. This is a good way to visualize it, but how do we write the computation for this? Well, that's pretty basic. Let's go ahead and try that. Since I am dealing with 3/5 of the pan, that's the number we're going to start with. I have 3/5 of the pan, and I'm going to buy 2/3 of the remaining pieces. So 2/3 of the 3 remaining pieces, 3/5 of the pan that's left. And when we go ahead and do that, 3 times 2 is 6, 5 times 3 is 15, and at first glance you're like, uh-oh, what's the 6/15 doing here? This is not the 2 pieces that we were able to determine by drawing the picture, but of course we have to simplify this. And when we go ahead and divide the numerator and the denominator by 3, the common factor there, the answer that we should end up with is 2 out of 5, since 6 divided by 3 is 2 and 15 divided by 3 is 5. And of course that makes sense. Matt bought 2 pieces for himself. I know the answer is a little bit different, but that 2 is symbolic of the 2 out of the 5 pieces that I've bought for myself. And so we've written the equation and we've drawn a picture and we have gotten the answer that we've been looking for. And this would be 100% on any of my tests.